geeks. We're back this week with a very Chicago episode. I'm really hyped about how this one turned out, so let's jump right in.
I am Tony Zupanzik, and I've been in email just over 2 years. I'm doing everything from front end to back end of email programs.
You work at a food company, right?
Yeah, I do. I actually work at Hickory Farms handling their automation.
So how do you make food look good in an email?
Food and email is all about imagery. We spend a lot of time on our photography, and that's kind of our main driving points in a lot of our emails, is showcasing the ease of serving our gift boxes, the ease of putting together a platter that looks appetizing and makes you want to dive right in, all that kind of stuff.
Before we get started, I want to thank Email Monks for sponsoring this episode. Need help in creating really good email templates for your campaigns? Discover how Email Monks can make that happen in a snap. They are experts at designing and coding email templates at a great price. If you want to level up your email game, give Email Monks a try. So what do you think about these Tovala emails? These are actually ones that are on our site right now, and I do think they have some pretty interesting imagery. Their service is this oven, and I think you buy meals and you put them in the oven. That's what I know. They do have a Chicago pop-up, and we both live in Chicago, so I thought this would be relevant. I've never been to this pop-up, but
I have never been to this pop-up either. But as far as the email goes, I like that it's really, really clean. It's very photography-based, and it's very direct to what the content seems to be driving towards. I do like that it's a good mix of images and live text. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of food companies tend to struggle with, that especially are driven around photography, is that they forget to implement that live text, and it's just text embedded in images usually.
Yeah, I definitely feel that I've seen a lot of text in it, very image heavy, almost like unflattering photography sometimes, where the food just doesn't look appealing in an email and the colors surrounding it is confusing. But I like their use of white space and really only using 2 colors. I like that they have buttons that are their main CTAs, and then as their secondary that they're using that plain text link out. Yeah, this zigzag makes a lot of sense for me, especially in food. It almost feels like a list, a shopping list in some ways.
Right.
Start here, then go here, and that's how it kind of feels like to me.
As you mentioned, the zigzag, I think that's definitely something that a lot of brands and a lot of emails tend to either do right or do really poorly, depending on how this one scales down to mobile. I know that's one of those situations where if you don't take care of the mobile aspect of it, then things tend to stack or shrink down, not ideally and not mobile friendly, which it seems like this one seems to stack down correctly, where it's image on top and then it follows through with the content. A lot of brands tend to stay away from that just because depending on how they decide to code their emails or what tools they use, it doesn't really stack nicely, doesn't play nicely. But they've done a really, really good job with that.
Yeah, I think optimizing for mobile, especially when you're going to do that Z pattern. Otherwise, I think there's can be too much information sitting next to each other, that 2 columns layout on mobile. These tertiary CTAs, even though that they're sort of this outline ghost button that, people say that underperform in some ways, I guess they feel right, because they're not really competing with that main shop now. They're in this separate section away from this white, leading with the most important information up top and then having additional content if you want it at the bottom.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think that the fact that they keep the Shop Now buttons all consistent and the same leads me to being okay with those ghost buttons being different, because it's not a Shop Now. It's not associated necessarily with the Shop Now. So it's different. So they're okay to be different, but they're not too different where it's off-putting.
So this one I think I liked a lot, even though it is a little bit more image heavy, with some of this text being a little bit harder to maybe make all live text with this lockup image. But I like this as a holiday email. I thought the imagery up top was themed, and it's nice that they almost have this specific image for holiday, bring in their product. And then the messaging was just very inviting around, it's December, there's a lot on your plate, no pun intended. Let our product kind of solve some of those issues for you.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like you said, I'm all right with that hero image being an all-in-one lockup. When it scales down, the text is big enough that it's not going to be illegible. Text down below the CTA might be a little bit iffy, especially because it's that light gray. but it's not really intended to stand out anyways. It's kind of there for detail or for that date to get like Christmas, which is a good call out, drives that sense of urgency in there. But I agree that I like the photo and the setup, and I think it does what it needs to do.
This layout is interesting where this photography section here is pretty appealing when it comes to showing different food layouts, even though this text on here is, I guess I do know that's pumpkin pie, but I might not know that's bacon wrap date. So I think the text overlay is all right. I think it fits with their branding. This is a little busy. I'm not really sure the main goal. If the shop now, no, it's consistent across both of the emails, but if they could say something specific to the holiday. The browse menus is a nice change from the shop now. If the watch how it works was a video or something, maybe that is a play button that they could add somewhere as well.
Maybe with a thumbnail image as well of a screenshot of the video or something like that. The only other thing I would say about this one is I think the hierarchy could be a little bit better. If you scroll down to the bottom of the email, usually you see the download on the App Store and the Google Play links down with the footer. I'm not really sure if that's really effective being where it's at. I think those could be dropped down and that Shop Now section could be up above those just to kind of keep the content with the content and the footer elements with the footer elements. I think that would have been a little bit cleaner. But aside from that, I think it's a really clean email.
Either having the section divider to split the section again, because it does sound like these apps might relate to these recipes in some way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're right, where once you hit those icons, it starts feeling like a footer and you kind of drop off. So this, I think, could definitely get lost, making that stand out a bit more with some dividers again, or even like a festive Christmas module that's like a light red or something to sort of match this.
For sure.
This last one is very Christmas focused, but this imagery, this could even be some very like stock imagery, and it really doesn't still pull me out of the email, and the use of text is very clean for this one as well.
And again, I'm okay with the embedded text being in this one. It is very clear. It's large enough where it's going to be legible when you scale it down.
This definitely feels big enough to me on a mobile device where I wouldn't have too much trouble reading it. To pull in this typeface in a web font might be more tricky, and, styling this stuff and making sure it works everywhere. So I understand why they might want to use that. But I do believe these CTAs are still...
Oh, live text,
Yeah.
Or is that an image?
These are images, actually. Yeah. I think the icon might have been too hard for them to figure out. That's what also kind of drove my eye to this email as well, these icons. I really like when they are in buttons. We've seen text with an emoji or something like that, but these icons really drive home that CTA, and that iconography really backs up that message for me.
And I like the two different CTAs there, the send oven and the send gift card. They let you know right away that this is a very gift-focused email, driving home, give this as a gift to somebody. And then even if you're not looking to send an actual oven, if you don't know what model they want or whatever, you can send the gift card, give them that option.
I think it solved a lot of the issues that we might have had with the last one, where the date for Christmas delivery is a little bit more clear up in the top of the email. They had these sort of card layouts that I almost like more. It kind of doesn't allow the content to really get lost in the white space. These different use cases going down the email is nice, even if they're not showing like too much food. This is a good way to display these different sections with quotes and showing those customer use cases for each of these people that might be in your life to gift.
And I think the different types of photography with the different subjects, I think is really, really powerful in this one, just because it shows, a different range of ages, demographics, et cetera, where not just specifically focused for one demographic. It's a good gift for anybody in your life, not just newly parented people or the, what have you.
And the inclusion of people in these photos actually draw me in a little bit more than the other email with just like food or the picture of their product.
I think it helps you envision it, in your life, in your home, and you using it.
And then I think this bottom section, just a nice little logo drop here, name drop. This is a little blurry, so maybe this could be a little nicer when you are switching from live text to these more image lockups with this text. There's the icon again that we saw up top.
Yeah, it carries through really nice. And I actually like the divider there, letting you know that that's a featured gift section. And it's kind of sets you up for what that following content is, and that it's different than the previous content in the email. I really like that. It's all about the photography. It's all about setting it up and making it seem like you're putting it together in your home, and that it's super easy to gift and put together to share. that's pretty much the long and short of it.
We're actually going to start planning our first meetup in Chicago, by the way. Email Geek Shy. Are you excited?
I am super excited for it. It's definitely something that, I've wanted to do for quite some time, and I'm excited that we're actually able to start putting it together.
Yeah, we have a great community of email geeks in Chicago, so definitely check out that meetup group, and we'll have some more information sent your way soon. That is the end of the episode. We're done.
If you have any feedback on the series, please leave a comment down below. Hit subscribe to keep up with future episodes. Thank you for giving a listen and letting our sponsors know you love really good emails.
Are we recording yet or no?
Yeah, no, not really. Yeah, okay. This is the episode. Let's talk about your personal life, and then we email in the background.